Good morning, students. As you all know that we are facing this problem of coronavirus and our school has digitalized the learning process. So today in the digital learning first class, we are going to talk first about what all are we facing today. As you all know that coronavirus is the COVID-19 as we call it, is a problem that we are facing and it is a viral disease. Do you know what are viruses? Now, viruses are the ones which are not at either included in the living nor in the non-living, because these are considered as on the borderline of life. Now, why these are considered as on borderline of life? Because you must have read about the properties of living organisms. Have you? Yes. So living organisms are the ones which show certain characteristic features. And this is the topic that we'll be studying today, that is life processes. Life processes are the characteristic features of every living organism which they show in all conditions. So life processes are not shown by the viruses. Now these life processes, which include processes like respiration, nutrition, excretion, and transportation. Now, if I talk about the viruses, they do not show respiration, they do not show nutrition, they do not show transportation, and they do not show excretion if they are outside the living host. But once they enter into the living host, they start dividing, they start reproducing, they start being active by using the machinery of the host. Now, because they are using the machinery of the host, they are inside the host cell. We have read in class 9th also a similar thing in the chapter Why Do We Fall Ill? If you remember, we talked that antibiotics do not work against viruses because they do not have their own mechanisms. So we cannot stop the mechanisms which are our own mechanisms actually. So if we want to target by antibiotics, we want to target viruses, we are actually targeting our own cells. So what is happening here is viruses, today we were like talking about coronavirus and why it is dangerous and there is no vaccine against coronavirus. The problem being it is a virus and it is using our machinery. Like simple example I'll give you. Like suppose there is a guest who has come to your house and the guest is living in your house using your resources, using your kitchen, using your bathrooms, using your bedrooms. And if you want that particular guest has to be targeted, you cannot target that guest, you cannot have theft on that guest because the guest is in your home. If you are planning any theft or if you are planning any murder, the guest is sitting in your home, so you are answerable for it. So here goes the same case with the virus also, because virus is in our body, it is our guest, it has entered into our cells. We as living organisms have the property that the cells will keep dividing, this virus will keep dividing in our bodies. So that's the problem that we are facing today. So that's why it is very important to have a vaccine rather than having any kind of antibiotic. The scientists, you must have heard in news also, all scientists are working upon the antibiotics, but there is no kind of antibiotic which can be planned. But yes, vaccine is definitely a good solution for it, and that will go on. So with this, the discussion of coronavirus, I am going to introduce the chapter which we will be starting today, which is life processes. Life processes, as I just discussed with you, these are the processes which are present in all living organisms and help them in sustenance of life. Like we talked about respiration. I think this is something which you have done in previous classes also. Respiration is the process in which the living organisms are producing energy. The energy can be produced in the presence of oxygen, it can be produced in the absence of oxygen. If it is produced in the presence, it is called aerobic. If in absence, it is called anaerobic. This is something which you have done earlier also. Now my next question is, do you know what is nutrition? Yeah, nutrition, very good. So nutrition is the process by which living organisms are obtaining food. So food, you know, is a necessary element. आप लोगों ने सबने सुना ही है रोटी कपड़ा मकान. That's the basic necessity of the life. So roti, that is nutrition, is the basic element that is required by all living organisms. So as we all require food, in whatever form we are taking it, it can be in the form of, you can be a herbivore, getting all the nutrients from plants, or you can be a carnivore, getting the nutrients from animals, or you can be an omnivore, getting nutrients both from plants as well as animals. So we can have any kind of nutrition, but finally we'll need nutrition. So on the basis of nutrition, the organisms can be either autotrophic or they can be heterotrophic. Now what is this auto? Auto. You understand auto? Like we use this term automatic. Automatic means self. So the autotrophic mode of nutrition is the one in which the organisms prepare their own food. While the heterotrophic, hetero means different, like heterogeneous solutions, you must have read in chemistry also, right? So heterogeneous or heterotrophic mode of nutrition includes various different modes. So they do not have a particular mode, rather by many different modes they are getting their nutrition. So here we are talking like about the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So in heterotrophic mode of nutrition, there are different kinds of nutrition like saprophytic mode of nutrition. There can be the organisms which are obtaining their food from the dead living organisms. Dead organisms, sorry, not dead living organisms. Dead organisms, they are obtaining their food. And then there can be another mode of nutrition that we call as symbiotic. The word symbiotic stands for, sym means together and biotic means living. So if two organisms are living together, right, and they are obtaining their nutrition with the help of benefit of each other, that's called as symbiotic mode of nutrition. Another mode of nutrition, heterotrophic nutrition, that we have, like we have the mode of nutrition in which we have the steps ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation and egestion. That is food को अंदर लेना, ingestion, food को break down करना body में, digestion, and then absorb the nutrients, absorption, और फिर उन्हीं nutrients को utilize करना, assimilation, and then the waste is removed out of the body by egestion. So this entire process of mode of nutrition we have in human beings, we have in amoeba, and we have in many different kinds of, like all mammals have this process of nutrition. So this process of nutrition that is present in human beings, that is present in amoeba, is another type of heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Now regarding the autotrophic mode of nutrition, we were talking about autotrophs. Autotrophs you must have read in junior classes also. All autotrophs are the ones which I just told you, which prepare their own food. Now this mode of nutrition, autotrophic, includes all the green plants. Now why I am using this word green plants? Because the word green stands for the ones which have the necessary pigment chlorophyll. Because chlorophyll is a very important pigment which is required for the process by which all green plants prepare their food, and the process is known as photosynthesis. Anyone who can tell me about photosynthesis? Like we discussed about autotrophic. So every word actually is self-explanatory. If you look at this word photosynthesis, it will explain itself. Photo stands for light, and synthesis means to manufacture something. So photosynthesis is the process by which the green plants are synthesizing, manufacturing their food. Now the food which is being manufactured by the green plants is through this chlorophyll pigment in a special cell organelle that we call as chloroplast. Remember this chloroplast, we have discussed about this chloroplast in class 9th also. In class 9th in the chapter Fundamental Unit of Life, we discussed about the cells and their cell organelles. So if you remember, the chloroplast is the cell organelle which is present only in the plant cell and helps in the process of photosynthesis. So chloroplast, now you must remember that chloroplast is the site of photosynthesis. So many times this question is asked in CBSE exams also, that what is the site of photosynthesis, and most of the students write the site of photosynthesis is green leaves or green plants. Wrong. The right answer is chloroplast. The site of photosynthesis is chloroplast because this is the place where the plant will prepare its food. Now during the preparation of food in the chloroplast, the plants, that is autotrophs we call them, they undergo 3 basic steps. Now these three steps, which are very, very important, you must learn them because these are a very important topic of the CBSE also. The first step of all photosynthetic processes is, that is, absorption of light energy. Now this absorption of light energy, the light that is obtained from the sun. So that's why you must all have heard in junior classes also that sun is the ultimate source of energy. Because even if we say whether they are heterotrophs or they are autotrophs, finally the nutrition, the source of energy is coming from the sun. So light energy is absorbed by the chlorophyll pigment. That's why chlorophyll pigment, which is present in the chloroplast, helps in the process of photosynthesis. So here we go with the, again I am repeating this. The first step of photosynthesis is absorption of light energy. Now this light energy, you'll read in physics also that light energy is absorbed in the form of photons. Photons is the unit of light energy. So when this light energy is absorbed, is taken up by the chlorophyll pigment of the plants, then this light energy helps in the formation of compounds like ATP. Have you heard about ATP? Right, adenosine triphosphate, which is the energy currency of the cell. So compounds like this are prepared with the help of this light energy, ATP, NADPH. These are synthesized with the help of light energy. Now once these energy compounds are synthesized, these energy compounds help in the reduction of the carbon dioxide. Now the carbon dioxide, that we know that carbon dioxide is a raw material of the photosynthesis. So this carbon dioxide, which is the raw material of photosynthesis, is reduced into carbohydrates. Carbohydrates means the hydrates of carbon, and they are made with the help of the carbon dioxide which is present in the atmosphere. Now this was the simple three steps which are present in the photosynthesis. You must have all read about the raw materials which are required. One necessity thing I told you already, which is the light energy provided by the sun. The second very important thing which is required for the photosynthesis is obviously chloroplast. Remember, chloroplast, we have talked about it, chloroplast. And the third thing which is required is carbon dioxide and water. Carbon dioxide, which we just talked about it, by the reduction of carbon dioxide, the process of photosynthesis goes on because carbon dioxide is fixed into carbohydrates. And the next thing, which is H2O. H2O is again very important because H2O is the one which is useful in the process of photosynthesis. I hope I am clear with the three steps. Yes. So the first step, absorption of light energy. The second step, conversion of light energy into the energy compounds like ATP and NADPH. And the third step, by the utilization of these energy compounds, the reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrates. Now, very simply, we represent this all entire process into a simple chemical equation. The simple chemical equation that we use is, remember, it is 6CO2 plus 12H2O. H2O is the chemical formula for water, CO2 for carbon dioxide, right? In the presence of sunlight, because sunlight is the source of the